Rebuilding a Stuart Major beam engine, Part 4. Figuring out what the offset problem is with the main beam. Removing the Watt's parallel motion support, followed by the cylinder cover and then the cylinder, including the piping and the internal cylinder plug. At the moment, everything is not right on this engine. The beam was over to one side, and all the motion parts are over to the other side, and this horseshoe-shaped piece is just not in the right position at all. What I'm going to do is check it out and find out why and what's going wrong. As far as engines go, a beam engine is a very simple one. You have a beam, and that's pivoted in the middle like a seesaw. One end of it is connected to the piston rod, and the other end is connected to the crankshaft. All very simple. As the beam rocks up and down, you have to have something that stops the beam, which is describing an arc, from bending the piston rod at each end of its travel. With the horseshoe part out of the way, I can use a set square to check the squareness of the top of the column, and yes, everything as I thought is fine here. Everything appears square, so there's no problem at all. At least I now know that the top of the column is square. This doesn't prove a lot, but at least it is square to the horseshoe part. So I'm just measuring the bearing supports, and yes, they're exactly the same length, nothing wrong here either. I showed in a previous episode that if I put a piece of shim to offset the horseshoe part, it appears to come back into true, but that's not the way to do it. That is definitely not the way I'm going to do it. I need to get to the root of the problem and find out why this engine is well machined, well made, and so badly assembled. Temporarily on the cylinder, I've removed the support part that supports the end of the horseshoe part, just in case this is moving it out of the way. So it's time now to temporarily reassemble once again, and there's a lot of this going to be going on. I've tried the horseshoe part both ways up, and it's the same. It's so well made, it fits actually both ways round. By now you've probably noticed that the central column is quite loose. That's because I've slackened off the bolts. What I'm doing is just having a feel at it to see what happens if I move it. If I move it from side to side, you can see there is a big difference in the gaps between the pegs and the centre part that's fastened to the piston rod. Alas, moving the column from side to side would be a very easy fix, but it's not going to happen, because when I measure from the datum surface that the column is mounted on up to the top of the horseshoe part like this, at both sides it is exactly the same. Then I had a sudden breakthrough. Not a mental breakdown, a breakthrough. I removed 2 of the bolts that hold down the column, leaving 2 just sticking up sufficiently to locate it. Then I refitted the guide bar that goes from the cylinder to the horseshoe part, and there was enough slack in the mounting bolts to allow me to rotate the column ever so slightly, a very, very, very tiny amount, and things suddenly came into alignment. So I think I may have the solution, or eureka, as Archimedes said in the bath. But I really will try not to get too excited for the moment about this. I repeated the process quite a few times to have a look where things were going, and each time the column just sat exactly where I wanted it to go. So as far as I can see, by slightly enlarging the holes at the rear of the base mounting, on the base itself, then I should find that the column can be moved into the correct position. Then everything else will follow suit. There is, however, quite a long way to go on this engine. There's a lot to do, not to mention the painting process. I'm waiting for a friend of mine making the wooden base for it, and then I have to clad the wooden base in bricks. It's going to be an interesting project all the way round. We will now see the engine in its component parts. Then I can start building it all back up again, repairing things as I go, and of course degreasing and painting the parts. I'm removing the cylinder cover to have a look at the state of the piston, and generally the bore of the cylinder and other things. I would have to remove this part anyway, because I don't want to paint the outside edge of it. The nuts are quite easy to remove. Here's the last one coming away now. And a quick tap with the piston in an upward motion should release the cylinder cover. So here it comes, and the good news is it's leaving the gasket behind, and here is the piston, complete with its 2 cast iron rings. Temporarily, I'm replacing the nuts on the studs to just generally see if they fit okay. 1 or 2 of them are a little tight. You saw me use a spanner there. and I'm going to have a look into the bore. Now that's very good indeed. In fact, looking at this engine's not done much running at all. What I'm doing here is just winding some masking tape around the piston to protect the piston rings, to stop them getting any grit in there or even getting damaged. Now it's time to take the inlet manifold off. This is just a bent piece of copper pipe and a flange that goes onto the steam chest. So I'm removing the 4 nuts that hold the flange onto the steam chest, first of all with a spanner, and then I use a box key to remove the nut in its entirety. The problem with these box keys is they're not very good at getting right into the corner because they're quite clumsy and a bit big for the job. What I often do, and I show this later, is I machine a little bit off the end, and it allows the box key to get further in on the nut. I also do this on some of the small sockets that I have, because it allows the socket to get closer in to get a grip on the nut. But I must stress that by doing this, it makes the socket or box key very weak, so you really have to slacken off the nut with a spanner first, and just spin it off with the box key or the socket. The valve actuating arms are the next things to go, starting with unscrewing the top nut and removing it so the crossbar can be removed. I really am concerned about these bearing blocks that hold the bell crankshaft down to the bed plate. This is just very bad workmanship that I wouldn't expect on an engine of this quality. As you can see, the holes are not in the centre of the bearings, and to compensate for this, the builder has drilled the holes for the studs in the bed plate off-centre. So what I'm going to have to do is remove the studs, plug the holes, re-drill them, re-machine the bearings, and take it from there. Over now to the cylinder. The first thing to go is the drain cock at the bottom, and then I'm going to remove the exhaust pipe. And here you see the box key, and here you see the box key that I've turned down slightly so I can get in order to remove these very small nuts from this very tight area. It's a very simple modification, but it's well worth doing. I'm putting the nuts back in place on the studs just so I don't lose them. Now it's time to look at removing the cylinder. This is held down by bolts to the bed plate, and when I look underneath, they're not threaded into the bed plate, they're actually bolts going through that are held by nuts. Really, I would have thought studs would have looked better. The 2 nuts in the centre I'm not sure about. I'll remove them and see. I see what it is now. They're holding a large plug that sits up inside the cylinder. This is a very good design. Not only is the cylinder held on the outer perimeter by these bolts, it's held in the middle by a large metal block. This makes for a very strong cylinder mounting, very strong indeed. I'll just remove all the bolts from round the edge. I think what I'll also do is remove the gasket, because if I don't do that, it's likely to get damaged and I will have to make another one. Oddly enough, the gasket seems to be stuck to the middle part more than anything, so I'll remove both of them, then separate the gasket, which I'll put in a safe place, and the safest place I can think of is on my old PC power supply from a 286 that powers my mini drill. I'm just refitting the nuts to the plug so I don't lose them either. This cast iron plug is very well machined and fits perfectly in the cylinder, and it even has a cast-in recess which stops it from fouling and blocking the steam port. So that's about it really. If you look at all the parts on the bench, I really would like to say thanks for watching and I hope you found it useful at this point, but no, there's quite a lot more work to do yet. So I now have a kit of parts, some good, some bad, but eventually it will turn into a very nice engine. Thanks for watching, I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.